We will write a code in which we will take the input from the mouse. We will draw a rectangle or a circle, and we will learn this through code now. How to accept the input from the input device. Open Jupyter, click on New and create a new file. The first step is importing the necessary libraries. So whatever the necessary libraries are, we will import that. But in our case, there is only one library, which is Pygame. After importing the library, we need to initialize the Pygame module. This step initializes all the modules in the Pygame at once, so that you don't need to initialize it individually. The next step is we will create a display for this game. To create a display, first you need to define the size of your window. So we will create a tuple, and in that tuple we are going to set the values, that is 400 by 600 or 600 by 600. Keep it as your wish. Now to create a display, there is a function which is display.setMode. First, create the variable Pygame dot display dot set mode, and in this set mode we pass the size of the window. So here I can directly pass the size of window. This is the one way of setting the display. Another way is you can directly write the size here. You can directly pass this tuple here instead of creating another variable and passing it here, so that you can create the code in one line. After creating the display, we are going to set the clock now. So this clock helps us to speed up the game application and also used to update the screen, so that the screen gets updated according to the set frame per second. So whatever the frame per second rate we set, according to that the screen get updated, and for that we need this function, that is pygame.time.clock. Then we need to create one loop, that is while loop, and that loop will run until we are done. Okay. So while not done. So this is one condition we can apply, like this loop will run until some action is triggered, or we can also do like this. We can also set the value here to true and while done. So this is another way of doing it, while done. So we are going to write the code which is try and accept. So in the try block we will put our code, and in the accept block we will put the exception code. So try. Now we want to check the status of the input devices. Before that, whatever the events happen are stored in the event queue. So we can check the event queue directly, and according to that we can take the action. So if you are clicking mouse, if you are pressing keyboard button, if you are just hovering the mouse on the screen, these are all the events, and these all events are logged in the event queue. So you need to check the event queue first, and based on that you should take or you should write the code. For event in pygame.event.get method. So with the help of this get, we will get all the events in the queue, and we are going to iterate through each and every event, and then we will check the type of event. So if event.type is equal to pygame.quit. So if someone terminates the program, in that case we are writing this code. Someone just presses the cross button and if someone just close down the program, then in that case we are going to terminate the loop. Okay. But if someone doesn't shuts down the program and if the program continues, now we want to get the position of mouse on the screen. Our use case is whenever the user presses or clicks the mouse at a particular location, on that particular location, the circle should be drawn. So for that, we need the X and Y coordinate of our mouse. So to get the current position of the mouse, it means that we are checking the status of the mouse. So to check the status of the mouse, there is a function which is known as get_position function, which gives you the current location of the mouse. So first thing is we will check the position of the mouse, we will get the X and Y coordinate, and on that X and Y coordinate, we will draw the required object. Now we want the coordinates, that is X and Y. So here we want to get the position of the mouse. So we need to write pygame.mouse.getPosition. Now let's check the if and else part. Now let's check the event type. So if event type is equal to, now what is the event we want? We want to check whether the mouse button is pressed or not. Okay, so we are gonna check that with the help of the event which is mouse button down. So mouse button down basically tells you whether the button is released or not. So when the button is released, the object will be drawn. So mouse pygame.mouse button. So these are the different events: button down, button up, mouse motion, and mouse wheel. Okay, so button down. So if this kind of event happens, then we are going to draw the circle on that particular location. For example, this is my mouse. I am clicking here, right? So I'm clicking here. The cursor is here now. So at this position, the circle will be drawn. So for that, I need to take the X and Y coordinate of my cursor, and on that position, I'll put the object. So now let's put the object on that particular location with the help of pygame.draw.circle. And here the parameters are, first parameter is we need to pass the display, like the screen on which we want to put the object. So we have already created the display, this surface. So this is the screen where I want to put my object. Then set the color. This is the tuple which is in the RGB format. You can choose any values to get a different shades of color. Now you need to pass the coordinates. So basically in the circle syntax, we pass the center coordinates. So let's pass px, py. Px, py are the mouse positions. These px and py will give me the current mouse positions, and I will pass the radius. Now after getting the mouse position, drawing the circle, now it's time to update the screen. So let's write one more event which will help us to update the screen. Mouse button up and press is equal to false. Now let's update the screen. So this update function will update the screen according to the clock ticks. So we need to define the clock ticks, which is basically the frame per second rate. And after writing the try block, we will write the except block to avoid the exceptions or to handle the exceptions. Now we are gonna print whatever the exceptions are thrown, and also we are gonna quit the game in case if there are certain exceptions. And finally we are going to write the quit, which quits the entire program, and pygame.quits just uninitializes all the initialized modules, and this quit actually exits the program. So let's run this code. First we'll rename the code. Event mouse, and let's run this code. Invalid syntax. So let's check what is the error. Px, py, pygame dot mouse dot get position